Welcome back to another exciting episode of ISVs on Tap. My name is Josh Kelly. I'm the Business Development Manager here at BlueStar for software. And joining me on the podcast today is Terry Schulenburg. He's the VP of Business Development at CyberLink. Terry, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So Terry, before we get into the meat and potatoes of FaceMe, tell me a little bit about you and how you came on board with CyberLink.
So I have been in the technology space for a long time. I worked for Apple Computer for 25 years, and then I moved over to the security space. And I've been doing all kinds of security, from iris detection to voice to now face. And I've been doing face now for the last 8 years, and really finding really unique ways to leverage face to give you a very personal and a very direct access to the people that you want to have access to.
Oh, right on. Okay, so you have an extensive background in this security aspect of computing, right, or software.
That's correct. I'm a computer programmer by trade, so I know how to program this stuff. I understand the depths of it, and I understand how it works from beginning to end.
I'm not calling you a nerd, Terry. I am not calling you a nerd.
I love it when you talk technical to me, though.
That's tremendous. All right, so the software du jour for today is FaceMe. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So our FaceMe SDK, it's a multi-platform SDK for facial recognition and person identification. What that means is I can find a face in a video stream. I can find a face from a photograph, match it to a database of faces that I have previously enrolled. I can also tell you if you're a man, a woman, and your approximate age. And we do this with about 99.83% accuracy rating.
Very cool. Very cool, by the way. As playing devil's advocate here, when we talk about facial recognition, can you just address some of the security concerns? I think the key here, I think I know what you're going to say, is the enrollment piece. But if you can address some of the security concerns about facial recognition.
Well, so you have to be careful. So the biggest concern is privacy. I don't want you tracking me. I don't want you watching over me. So if you use facial recognition in a public environment, typically you need some sort of consent. And it's hard to get in a public environment. If I were to put my camera on a street corner and start capturing faces, in many states that's illegal. But what you can do is in an environment like a work environment, like the airport, where you sign up to be a part of something, maybe a loyalty program to your local retailer. I sign up to be a part of something. I can use my face then to represent me instead of trying to use an ID, a password, a card, or some other rating. So as long as you're using facial recognition properly, it doesn't violate any of the privacy laws. Our software doesn't capture faces, it doesn't store faces, it doesn't do anything unless you sign up to be a part of it. So those are the things that you have to be really aware of. Facial recognition is scary, but it doesn't have to be if it's used properly.
Right on. Now, Terry, I know you were on one of my panels at Vartech, which I really appreciated. And I think the way that we think about facial recognition and facial recognition software, you tend to go into some of the Minority Report type of movies where it gets invasive, we'll call it.
Sure.
So specifically, can you give us some use cases, or what markets are you guys seeing success in currently with facial recognition?
That's my favorite question. I can talk about this all day. So I'll start simple and then I'll give you some examples. So where we're really focusing right now is any software and hardware vendor that has created a solution where you want things to be either more secure or more personal than a password or a card. Even payments, we're talking more and more about paying with your face. Having that credit card is great, but it's really easy to become somebody. It's really easy to borrow your card and go shopping. With facial recognition, you can take any existing application and add facial recognition to it very easily. As long as you have a camera, and that's the one distinction that you have to be really careful of, is we need a way to record. We need a way to capture the face. So every phone, many mobile devices, tablets, anybody building newer devices right now are all putting cameras on them for this very reason. I can take you into, and I'm going to walk you through a couple examples, and this will help you understand what's going on. So I'm going to start with an airport. So airports for decades had card readers. You swipe your card. Many of them had keypads where you type in a PIN code. Card and PINs, very secure, works really well. Obviously, we've seen, based on all the movies and all the TV shows we watch, that there's no way to ever steal that information and become somebody. So what the airports are doing now is they're saying, listen, we're going to use card and face to open a door, a secure door, an area that should not be open to the public. Well, in order to do that, they had to add cameras to those readers. We're looking at retailers who are securing their back end, their warehousing areas. Right now, it's lock and key. It's a cage, and they put their high-end valuables in there, and they have a lock and key in that. The problem is you don't know who's coming and who's going. You don't know who the last person was that opened it. You don't know if they locked it when they got done. So they're putting electronic locks on there. And again, you don't want to have to carry a card. You don't want to have to carry something with you. You can use your face. You know exactly who showed up. You know if you should open the gate or not. We're doing the same thing with lockers, the pickup lockers at some of the at the retail locations. You can go to Home Depot and use your face to open the locker instead of scanning the QR code. And then assembly lines. This is where we're seeing the biggest push right now. You can go to an assembly line, and all of these machines are lots of buttons to push. And people are certified on those machines. People are giving certifications to say, you know how to operate this machine. Well, if the wrong person sits down at the wrong machine and starts pushing buttons, you could cripple that assembly line for weeks. By recognizing the people that belong there, by certifying that, now I can turn that machine on knowing that the correct person's sitting there. So that'll just give you a breadth of things. The medical community is following the same suit. You know, dispensing drugs. For years, we just dispensed drugs. We have a lock and key. It wasn't secure. It wasn't in a good enough place that they were comfortable with it. People were leaving medical cabinets open all the time. Well, now they're securing them with the face, saying only people that belong in this cabinet are getting in. So those are the types of things where facial recognition really plays well.
So I think that's all fascinating, and I've heard this a couple of different times, Terry. Obviously, we've had a couple of different conversations on this topic. So, what I find really cool about this, and I'm going to ask you this question: is let's say I walk into whatever store or whatever place has facial recognition, and I'm trying to be Terry instead of Josh today. So, is there a scenario where there could be like a face-off or a Mission Impossible thing where I digitize my face? How will that work?
So, possibly, but probably not. So let me explain what's going on. So, in our world of deepfakes right now, everybody's wondering, can somebody deepfake my face, get into my bank account? Okay, our software is 100% capturing deepfakes. And our software has something called, it's anti-spoofing. It's 100% anti-spoof proof, meaning when it captures my face, I'm capturing over 800 points on my face. Every crevice, every nook of my face is being captured. So if you can create a mask that is really, really good quality and you put it over a face that has the same bone structure as mine, you may be able to fake it out. But besides that, you're not going to use a mask. You're not going to use a video or a photograph. It knows that you're not a real person. It knows that you are faking it out, and it will not recognize you. No, it can still recognize you. It'll still say, "I think it's Terry," but it's a fake. It's not the real thing.
So, what about a picture? What if I put sunglasses and a fake mustache on?
Same thing. So photograph is the same way. I mean, a photograph, it will recognize that you're not a real person. Our software also does liveness. So I can do it with gestures. I can do it over time. So liveness means when I stare at a camera, I'm not stationary. I actually move. I need about 5 or 6 seconds of video to know if you're a live person. We also work with, like on your iPhone, you have what's called a 3D camera on your iPhone. It's two cameras a certain distance apart looking at that same object. That's how it's able to determine, is this a real person or is this a flat object? So photographs won't work as well.
Right on. So since I'm a slight conspiracy theorist on these sci-fi stuff, including robots killing everybody at some point in my lifetime, that doesn't seem to be a logical scenario. And in your examples in this software, right? You guys have safeguards in place that identify 2D objects as opposed to a person's face or 3D objects. You have ways, and the other thing that I find really cool about this is if all of a sudden Josh decides to go, I'm speaking in third person apparently, but if let's say I go to a buffet and just decide to just crush some food at a buffet over the next 3 weeks, and I pack on 35 pounds, your software will still recognize me even though I've gained or lost weight.
So possibly. Gaining weight is different than losing weight. You have to lose between 80 and 100 pounds before your face really makes a dramatic change. Gaining weight is a little opposite because you can put a lot more weight on your face. But again, 35 pounds is not a lot. 50 plus maybe. But again, if you're trying to be part of something, it doesn't matter because at that point you re-enroll yourself with the extra weight or the lost weight, and you're still not part of the program. So it doesn't get in the way when you use facial recognition properly.
And that's something that's going to be a gradual change generally over time, unless there's some sort of a procedure done. So my example is a little extreme, obviously.
Yes.
So the other part that you've mentioned is access control or access points, right? To get behind the scenes on things. Are you, and you don't have to, I don't want you to name the other partners if you have any, but because this is about you, but do you guys partner with other software companies to for those types of scenarios, or are you guys standalone in that regard?
So no, our software partners very well with access control solutions. You can build it within itself, or you can leverage the ones that are already out there. We have a full open API as part of our SDK, so we can communicate directly with those access control systems and say, hey, Terry's at the front door and it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. What do you want to do? We're not opening the door. We're letting the access control say, wait, it's 8 o'clock. He's not allowed in till 9. We're going to keep the door closed. Or yeah, he's available 24/7. We can open the door. So we can pass that information back and forth.
Right on. So what I'm hearing is you guys are open and willing to partner with other software providers to enhance probably both solutions at that point, right? That's what I'm hearing. You multiply that effect, or there's an exponential gain by having a relationship with others.
There's no question about it. When I look for a partner, let me be real clear. I look for companies that have already great solutions today. So they built something, it works really, really well, but they're using a card, they're using their phone. Everybody wants to use their phone to open things, to unlock things, to get access to things. And that's okay. But what if you could secure it and not have to carry anything or remember anything? It changes the scenario. I'll tell you a very fun story. I did this at a large enterprise customer. They had 9 turnstiles that they used for employees to check in every morning. They had 10. They had 9 of them set up for the card and 1 of them for facial recognition. The first month, 90% of people used the 9 turnstiles, and only 10% of the people used the facial recognition turnstile. They weren't concerned. They were concerned. Are you watching me? Are you tracking me? What are you doing? But they carried their badges everywhere, and they tap them, and they knew how to use it. They've been using it for years. The first time they left their badge at home, the first time they left it on their desk when they went to lunch, the first time that it was raining outside and they left it in their car and they didn't want to run out there, they go through the facial recognition terminal and go, wait, that was easy. That was painless. They realized what was going on. After the second month, 90% of people were using the 1 lane and only 10% of people were using the other 9. The company has gone completely to facial recognition now. And if your face isn't enrolled, you're not getting into that company.
That's fantastic. Because I would be one of the original badge poppers, and I wouldn't do it, Terry, until I was forced because I forgot my badge.
Yeah.
That is a real scenario for me, right? Because that's just the way it is. I'd forget my head if it weren't attached to my body. So, one last question for you is: in the world of resellers and partners, you've already touched on this, but who would be an ideal partner for you guys?
So the people that are building solutions that we're going to be using in the next 2 to 3 years, these are guys that have the solutions that they're really just envisioning and imagining. You know what? In 2 years, everybody's going to want to be doing this. Facial recognition will be a part of it. I promise you. Facial recognition is growing by leaps and bounds. But anytime you can know who the person is using your product or create a product that caters directly to those people, it just makes it a much more incredible environment. And I'll give you a quick example where we're seeing this a lot right now. In-store advertising. In-store advertising where they have panels throughout the store. You got a shopper already there looking around the store. They're throwing ads up on those all the time. This market is growing by leaps and bounds. What if I could tell you that the person that's near this screen is a 30 to 40-year-old man? Would you show them a different ad than you would to a 30 to 40-year-old woman? Or would you just show the generic ad hoping that you're sending the message to the right person? This is the type of stuff, and these are the types of things that people are thinking about right now, saying, listen, I want to know about these people so that I can show them the right ad, and now we can make a sale. We can track it through that process.
Another note, just an add-on point, because again, I've seen this a few times. It can actually tell you one of the aspects of this, probably a small piece of it, is tell you if you're happy or sad. It kind of reads that part of it too, which I think is kind of fun and neat. But I don't know if there's any applicable.
It's so. I always when facial recognition always thinks I'm mad because I don't have a normal smile on my face. It's not as accurate. I get asked every day, can it tell if somebody's irritated? Can it tell if somebody's gonna shoot somebody? You know, can it? No, it's not reading minds. It's not doing any of this. It's comparing it to the AI where we've trained it, and it gives you an idea of the success rate. We've put this in at a number of customer service desks throughout the world. And you want to know after a customer leaves and they return items, are they leaving happy or are they leaving sad? And we still don't have a good consensus of does it work, does it not? It's really hit and miss.
Maybe if you couple FaceMe with a mood ring, and if they match up, then it's 100%. I'm
Perfect.
guessing
That's it. That's what we're gonna do.
That's the key. It's not the 800 contours and points on the face. It's a mood ring and FaceMe's ability to read whether or not you're happy or not.
Yeah, but you're going to want me to be able to read the color of the mood ring. That's going to be the only problem. And I'm going to need a special camera for that.
Yeah, exactly. This unbelievable. So, all right. Terry, thanks so much for jumping on here. The name of the show, the podcast, is ISVs on Tap. Terry, I don't know if you mentioned this at the beginning of our conversation, but he's based out of Texas. So because I like to get the beers from where the people are located that I have on the show, I decided to get Shiner Bock today. Thank you, Terry, for picking up some Shiner. This happens to be one of my favorites. It's kind of a what color would you think that is? It's kind of an amber brown.
It is
kind of, but it has a very smooth flavor. It's not nutty. It almost has a sweet texture and flavor to it. So, and that's pretty close to where you are, isn't it? Shiner,
Texas is very close. It's the oldest independent brewery, and it's about an hour and a half south of me, halfway between me and Houston.
Right on. I'm glad we didn't do Tito's because I would have been on the floor by now.
There you go. And Tito's is right around the corner. I know that one's close.
It's not vodka on tap. It's more like beer. All right, guys, if you want to learn more about FaceMe and CyberLink and Terry, please reach out to me. I will be more than happy to make introductions via email, Face, WebEx, whatever we need to do. I can get contact information for you. But thank you, Terry, for jumping on here today. Appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Cheers.